We don't owe the rest of the world an explanation.
Hi, my name is Gabriella and Jill, life coach at DocWorking, and welcome to DocWorking, the Whole Physician podcast.
Hi, I'm Jill Farmer, also a life coach at DocWorking. And Gabriella and I today are really excited to talk to you about how to say no. Gabriella, why is it hard for physicians to say no?
Oh my goodness, I can think of so many reasons. Why is it hard to say no? Because your job is to say yes to just about anything and everything that comes in the door. You're there to serve, you're there to treat, you're there to help people, you're there to find information. It's very hard to say no. How does that reflect on me if I say no? How am I going to be perceived? Am I being useful, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. That's a great question. And so what I've been thinking of lately in terms of my own client work and my own self, to be honest, because I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I've said that in previous podcasts too, is like, how do I break that habit? Well, is it really how to say no at this point? Or do I give myself a little bit of cushion by saying, well, maybe it's how not to say yes? That may be the first step. And so I've been working on that. How not to say yes. So for example, a friend of mine recently wanted to invite me to work on a project that she's excited about. And of course I want to say yes. I love my friend. I want to be helpful. And at the same time, I have a hesitation. Is this really what I want to do? Is this going to distract me from where I am now? And that answer was a definite yes, at least in my own mind. And so instead of saying yes right away, what I did was, you know what, let me think about it. I really need to sit and think about it. I'll get back to you by Wednesday. So 2 days. So that means it's in my calendar now. There's a goal. I'd give myself a little cushion to think about it. So rather than saying yes right away or feeling bad about saying no right away, let me give myself some space. And so I've been working with that tactic with myself and with some clients as well. And interesting, because now it's time to really sit and be honest about the decision. Because my friend will respect an honest assessment as opposed to me saying yes to something I can't really commit to. Jill, what do you think? Is this a tactic that may be useful to clients in terms of rather than saying no, to just not say yes right away?
Yeah, that's huge. Such a good example. And that's different than avoidance, right? What you're saying is you're committing to giving yourself permission to get some more clarity. There's a little lack of clarity in the example you gave because you have the value of wanting to support your friend. And then you also have the value of really wanting to do what is important in your life in this moment right now. So you want to take some time to really consider those before you come up with just an automatic answer. And I think that's rooted in values. I think that's looking at your intentions clearly. And those are all things that I think are really important. It's funny. I love this topic and I love it because I'm terrible at it. And it's been a constant area of growth for me. And I've had to develop some tools for myself that I've now used for better part of 10 years with my clients. And so I do know they work, but I didn't come to this work because I'm excellent at saying no. So I'm going to be the expert on telling other people to have it. I was terrible at it. And I used to excellent at saying no. So I'm going to be the expert on telling other people to have it. I was terrible at it. And, I used to always say, if you ask me to do something, if I did say no, by the time I explained to you and gave you all the excuses and reasons and needed you to buy into why I was saying no to you, we both needed a shower. I mean, it was not good. And so what I discovered is I needed a little bit of guidelines for myself. And I wrote about this in my book. And it's one of the things a lot of people will come back to me and say, oh, that's really helpful. And it's just 3 little questions to ask yourself if you're in that space of wondering, and giving yourself the space is the first step. As you said, that's really the most vital. And then when you're there, I like to ask myself these questions, and I have my physician clients do it as well. Do I want to do it? Right? Sometimes we just forget that. As you said, when we're in that people pleasing mode, we're only thinking about what the other person's needs and expectations are, not what mine are. Do I have time to do it? Right? Sometimes I get aspirational. Oh yeah, that's going to be great. But I don't actually have the physical time in my schedule to do it. And then I end up disappointing myself or somebody else. And then the third question is, does it connect to my values? And I say, if the answer to any one of those 3 questions is no, then you need to probably consider that the total answer is going to be no. If the answer to 2 of those 3 questions is no, then you probably definitely need to say no. And I know that can be challenging. But for instance, I remember once being asked to help work at a concession stand for one of my kids' sports. And I was like, oh, that's the last thing I want to do. And I asked myself these three questions and I was like, do I want to do it? No. Do I have time to do it? Yeah. It was an evening time where I had some availability. And does it connect to my values? Yeah, because I do believe that there's a lot of volunteers in youth sports and we got to put some time in if we want our kids to get the benefit out of it. So sometimes that helped me have a less resentful yes, where I was like, here's why this yes matters. And if I'm going to say yes, here's where I need to really step in and not just do it because I'm uncomfortable with no. So I think these questions can be helpful guidelines for us as well. What do you think about that? Such great information with more to come. Stay tuned. We're going to have more for you right after this important message from Board Vitals.
Preparing for your board exam or looking for a quick and convenient way to earn CME? Study for your board exam and fulfill your CME requirements with Board Vitals. Board Vitals is the leading online board review platform with question banks and CME activities available in more than 50 medical and healthcare specialties. Board Vitals questions are loaded with detailed explanations, reference materials, and evidence-based rationales. And now you can take your studying on the go with Board Vitals mobile app. People who use Board Vitals question banks have a higher pass rate by 9% from the national average and an 18% reduction in study time. Board Vitals has helped more than 400,000 practitioners pass their board exams. They offer a free trial for all their question banks, and they offer a 100% pass guarantee when you sign up for a subscription of 3 months or more. Sign up today and get a special discount for being part of the DocWorking community by using the code DocWorking10. That's DocWorking and the number 10. That's a 10% discount code just for being part of our community with the discount code DocWorking10 for BoardVitals.com. That's BoardVitals.com.
I agree because yes, finding that reason, I think what you just said is very, very important. Maybe sometimes I don't want to do it because I'm just kind of dragging my feet. Maybe something I don't want to do it because there may be other reasons and it's just a thought. So imagine just kind of shifting your thought and finding something to shift that thought for you. It's like, I'm doing this because this is important. I'm doing this because this is important to my child. I'm doing this because volunteering and community work is important to me. I mean, all the things that you brought to the table to help you make that decision, as opposed to, as you said, avoidance. We don't want to avoid the decision. We want to be honest about it and find different ways to be honest about it, I think is very, very helpful. So thank you for that. That was extremely helpful. I also want to add that 99.9% of the time, if you ask for more time before you're making a decision, nobody's going to object to that. If somebody says, well, I need to know right away, then that to me should be an automatic no. Because if what you need is time to make the decision, then take the time. Don't say yes because somebody's pressuring you to. I might as well be at a used car dealership if that's the case. And no, we don't necessarily want to do that right now. And so I think that is one thing also to keep in mind. Don't let yourself be pressured into making a decision. Make sure that you're doing this honestly from the heart that makes sense to you, that connects with your values, as you said, and that connects with what is most important to you. So, Jill, any closing thoughts about how to say no?
Oprah used to say no is a complete sentence. And I thought, oh, that's so good. But I could never do it because it didn't feel good to me when somebody just said, hey, Jill, I'd like you to do X. And if I just said no with nothing else, that was not going to feel good to me, even though I understood her sentiment behind it, which is, we don't owe the rest of the world an explanation. And sometimes when we try to get over explaining, again, that's where we both get into the situation where everybody needs to take a shower when we're done. I think often less is more when it comes to saying no. And what I try to tell people if they come to me with a challenge, like somebody might say, oh, my chief has this vision for doing, something on our website, and it's really not in my strike zone. And I really am not interested in doing it. And I want to say how to say no. I always say the place to start is with how to be relational, which is often to thank the other person for thinking of you. Thanks for thinking of me. And I see your vision on this is excellent, right? So if you can look for a way to be relational, not fake, not lie, not make stuff up, but be relational and say, you recognize that the ask is generally coming from a good place. If it is, find that, start with that when you're saying no and say, thanks for asking me. I appreciate you put that trust in me. And then as simple and clear as you can. And in my available time right now, I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't make that a priority, but I really trust that you're going to find the right person. Simple, clear, direct. I think that's the thing. If we can get ourselves calmed down enough, that makes it easier on the other person to just move on as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. And I think that's a great conclusion, to be able to just say a no doesn't have to be rude or impolite or discourteous. It can take that person into consideration, what their request is into consideration, acknowledging their request, because everybody wants to be heard, that you're acknowledging, you're saying, hey, I heard you and I can't right now. And that's okay.
Thanks all of you for tuning in to listen to this edition of DocWorking, the Whole Physician Podcast. We have something new and exciting to tell you about, so I want you to hop over to docworking.com. DocWorking Thrive is getting ready to launch in a very short time. And what that is a subscription service for physicians. It includes an excellent self-paced course called STAT that is all about quick wins for living well. It is group coaching. It is a Facebook group where you have a chance to connect to other physicians and coaches to ask questions about things that are happening in your life. And it also includes weekly video tips to come and give you advice on important things in your life. So we're really excited about this. The price is almost too good to be true. It's so good. And I really think it's going to be a fabulous support network for physicians. So we hope you hop on over, check out DocWorking Thrive today. And until next time, we'll see you on DocWorking, the Whole Physician Podcast.
Hello, and thank you for listening. This is Amanda Taryn. I'm the producer of the DocWorking podcast. If you enjoyed our podcast, please like and subscribe. We would also love it if you checked out our website, which is docworking.com. And you can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. On Instagram, we are DocWorking1, and that is with the number 1. When you check us out on social, please let us know what you would like to hear on the podcast. Your feedback really means a lot to us. And if you're a physician with a story you'd like to tell, please reach out to me at amanda@docworking.com to apply to be on the podcast. Thank you again, and we look forward to talking with you on the next episode of DocWorking, the Whole Physician Podcast.